Today we're going to be talking about Tales of the Jedi Episode 2, titled Justice. And this is where the fun begins. Hello there, troopers, and welcome back to General Kenobi's Bunker. Thank you so much for joining me on this new series where we are reviewing each episode of Tales of the Jedi. So today we're going to be reviewing Episode 2, titled Justice, which starts a 3-episode arc on Count Dooku. So let's dive right into it. The episode starts with a clean-shaven Count Dooku, or just Master Dooku at this point, I guess. He is still part of the Jedi Order. And lo and behold, he has his Padawan, which we all know and love, Qui-Gon Jinn. Again, looking very clean-shaven. So, one thing that I really liked about this episode was the way they portrayed the poverty and the decay of the village, of the planet they were visiting. And they did that in many ways, but something that I have to recognize for Tales of the Jedi in general is that they have improved a lot I guess the shading and the colors and the textures of the backgrounds, okay? This thing that we're hearing right now, we got a broken droid, we got a dog, which, by the way, have we seen regular dogs before in Star Wars? I gotta be honest with you, I'm not too sure that we have. But anyway, so all of this plays really well into the creating the ambient and creating the scene of, like I said, just a rundown place, impoverished and just neglected overall. So after arriving to the village, Dooku and Qui-Gon are basically, avoided by the few villagers that they do see. They finally stumble into the cantina place where they demand to be taken to where the senator's son is being held captive. To which somebody says, "Why should we?" They met with the elder lady. And they, basically discover that she's a part of the kidnappers. Then they actually realize that the whole cantina is in on it. So basically everybody in town was in on the senator's kidnapping. They finally take them to a barn where we get a sort of like a tractor droid, which they call 2-ton. And then we see the senator's son, no worse for wear. And, he basically tells Dooku that he wasn't even aware that people on his planet were living so poorly, right? And they were so neglected. The village elder tries to explain to them that, the senator is basically been routing funds for his own gains and neglecting the entire planet. And so that's why they're so impoverished, and that's why they saw no other recourse than to kidnap the senator's son to get his attention. To which Dooku is very sympathetic. And of course, Qui-Gon being young, he suggests why not just elect a new senator, right? I mean, wouldn't that change everything? To what the elder lady says, I wish it was so simple, right? So this shows us already sort of a dynamic between Dooku, who is more and more disillusioned, right, with the way the Republic is handling things, with the way the Senate runs, this planets. And we see Qui-Gon, who is still an idealist. He still has a touch of being naive and basically saying, hey, you guys can still improve, right? And so I like that little, I guess, both sides or extremes of the same thing. And of course, inevitably, the senator shows up to reclaim his son, and he brought a bunch of, private security. One thing to remember, guys, this episode is set before episode 1, well before. I don't know exactly how many years, but I would have to guess at least 10 years before episode 1. So remember, the Republic did not have a standing army. They relied on, security forces for most of the systems that were members. And so it was sort of like each one of them would police, each other type of thing. So private armies like this, it was very common, it was way to go. So of course, the senator being very rich, he bribes a local resident right from the village to tell them where they are holding his son captive. Now, the elder lady tells Dooku, "You betrayed us, right? You brought him to us. You brought the senator to us." To which Dooku says, "The senator doesn't even know we're here." And so that that becomes apparent when the senator basically demands for the son to be released, and he doesn't even ask. He commands the Jedi to arrest everybody. To what Dooku says, "Hey, we're not done here. We're still investigating." And the senator says, "What are you talking about? I represent the Senate. You should do as you're told because you serve the Senate. That's it." And so it is here when Dooku corrects him, saying, "We don't serve the Senate. We serve the people of the Republic." Again, it's just that idealism that Dooku is doesn't see the Senate as being representative of the people in the Republic anymore. And again, this comes from years of traveling the galaxy and taking on missions for the Jedi. A standoff happens between the security forces brought by the senator and the villagers holding the son captive. The Jedi, of course, are siding with the villagers. Now here, I gotta gripe a little bit, or I got a little bit of a rant, because the senator tells them, okay, you Jedi, you have to do what I say, arrest everybody, all of that. And Duke is like, no, we don't have to, and we're not going to. And so the senator says, okay, well, if you're not gonna move, we're just gonna shoot everybody. So move. And Dooku basically says, no. So my little gripe is that the Jedi are meant to be, the keepers of the peace. They're supposed to be highly trained in negotiation tactics, and I don't see any of that anywhere here. Not Qui-Gon, not Dooku. It's they're like, yeah, no, we're not budging. That's it. Shoot us. And the senator is like, okay, well, I'm just gonna shoot you. Which, he does. He starts shooting everybody. So I just kind of wished we would have seen, a little bit better negotiation skills from Dooku, who again is an experienced master. So of course, as you would think, trained soldiers against very hungry and malnourished villagers, the soldiers start winning. And again, nitpicking, I guess, but 2 Jedi couldn't, deflect all the blaster bolts from like a couple of squads of soldiers. And the villagers start getting hit like left and right, they start getting killed or injured, being shot at. And again, Dooku and Qui-Gon are deflecting, with their lightsabers, but I guess they're not good enough. And so the villagers are still getting killed. And it is at this point that Dooku loses it, and he says, enough, this has to stop. And he force chokes the senator, right? And he tells him, corruption like yours must be destroyed. And of course, Qui-Gon immediately runs to try to stop his master, and Dooku just force pushes him, slams him into the barn doors without even looking at him, which I thought was really cool, because I think it shows also the dynamic between Dooku and Qui-Gon. So Dooku knows in the back of his head, of course he's gonna try to stop me. So he almost as a reflex, almost without thinking it, he immediately pushes him away without even looking at him, because he's so sure that Qui-Gon is there, right? He doesn't have to turn and look. He knows 100% that Qui-Gon would try to stop him. So before Qui-Gon can even speak, he pushes him away, force pushes him away. And so Qui-Gon runs into the barn, releases the son, and tells him, hey, go save your father. To which, again, it's kind of like, you just saw your master force choke the senator. He's about to cut him down with his lightsaber, and your best idea is to send a teenager to get in between that enraged Jedi master and your dad, right? So yes, it's a plan that worked, but I gotta say there's quite a risk on there, right? Once again, they could be trying to show us just how much Qui-Gon knows his master and how much Dooku knows Qui-Gon, which is interesting, of course. And so, of course, Dooku backs off. He tells Qui-Gon, your actions today save a lot of people. You're a much wiser man than I am. Which I thought was an awesome touch, because Qui-Gon tells the exact same thing to Obi-Wan, in episode 1. And then, of course, Obi-Wan tells the same thing to Anakin in episode 3. Basically, the last time they talk as allies, right? As friends. And so I just love, little mirrors like that throughout Star Wars. And basically the episode wraps up, with the senator's son asking his father, how could you do this, right? How could you let your own planet, your own people, be in such bad shape? And the son, turns around to the villagers and says, I promise you that I will change things. I promise you that there will be help. And so they both leave. The villagers thank, the Jedi, but Dooku tells Qui-Gon, I wonder if any meaningful change will come from this. Which is, I think, a question he's posing himself, not just in this particular instance, but as a wide, galaxy-wide question at this point. So, even though the episode didn't really give us anything brand new or anything shocking, I think it was a really good way to start this small arc for Dooku. We see him, fairly young. He doesn't even have a beard, which I thought was cool. We see him with Qui-Gon, and they already have quite the relationship, right? You can tell that they both care about each other, of course. And we get to see, Dooku start to lose it, right? He's starting to be desperate, or he's starting to lose faith in the Republic. And especially on the Jedi, because if the Jedi have all this power and are yet allowing all of this injustice to happen in the Republic, then how are they any better? One cool thing I wanted to mention is that young Qui-Gon Jinn is actually played by, or his voice is played by, Liam Neeson's son, which I thought was a touch of genius. Again, they didn't have to, but it just makes total sense. So that's it for episode 2. What did you guys think about it? Again, I liked it. It's a good 1 of 3, like I said, and love the master-apprentice relationship. I wish we can see more of that. But you guys let me know down in the comments if you like this episode. What do you think of Dooku's outburst? What do you think about the way Qui-Gon Jinn handled the situation? And what do you think about the overall story? Again, me overall, maybe nothing amazing happened, but it was really cool to see. I've been enjoying these shorts a lot because of that. They're basically showing us stuff that we sort of already know, but we have not seen. Also, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys leave a like on this video. It greatly helps out the channel, and go ahead and recommend the content with people you think would enjoy it. Please do not forget to subscribe if you haven't, and thank you so much if you already have, and I'll catch you on the next one.